Հանուն Հոր եւ Որդվո եւ Օգուին Սրբո Amen. Dear brothers and sisters, today we have a reading that comes from St. Paul's first letter to the Corinthians. This is in the beginning of the letter, and Paul says, "What then is Apollos? What is Paul? Servants through whom you came to believe, as the Lord assigned to each. So let no one boast about human leaders, for all things are yours, whether Paul or Apollos or Cephas or the world or life or death or the present or the future, all belong to you, and you belong to Christ, and Christ belongs to God." Paul wrote 2 lengthy letters to the Christians who lived in Corinth, and it seems that he had a very special relationship with them. And in the first part of this first letter, we see that Paul has heard that there was something going on in the community of Corinth. Christians were divided into groups. There was a division in the church of Corinth. Some people were saying, "We are the followers of Apollos." Others were saying, "We are the followers of Paul, who built this church." Others were saying, "No, we are the followers of Cephas, Peter, the rock, who is a leader in Jerusalem. We are his followers." And for this reason, there was a division. And Paul, knowing about the danger of this kind of thinking, "I am the follower of this person, you are the follower of that person, I belong to this group, you belong to that group." From the beginning of the letter, after saying hi, he immediately talks about this thing. He challenges them, and then he corrects their misunderstanding and proclaims the truth. Divisions happen in communities for the same reason that they happened in Corinth. Divisions happen like this every time a group of people start to claim to be the followers of one person, and they identify themselves with this one person instead of identifying themselves only with Christ. Paul says that a healthy community is a community whose members all proclaim to belong only to Christ and not to someone else. If Christ is their leader, if Christ is their teacher, then they follow their leader and they follow only his teachings. Yes, in every community, and especially I'm sure in Corinth, there are leaders whom we admire, leaders who can have special charisma. We admire them. They catch our attention because of their personality, because of their commitment, because of their character, because of their integrity, and because of their deep faith. This can happen in clergymen and lay people. But what is dangerous, and Paul talks about this, something that leads to divisions, he says, is a particular way of thinking, and which is to make the leaders Christs. Whether that is a clergy person, a bishop, a derhire, or that is a lay person, we substitute them. Instead of looking for Christ, we look for them. And imagine a Christian leader of his day like Paul. Paul, who spread the Christianity through the Roman Empire, the world of his day. Apollos, another servant of Christ. Cephas, Peter, whom the Lord called the rock. He said, "You are the rock. Upon him I will build my church." Paul says that even people like this shouldn't be followed. People shouldn't say, "I belong to Peter, I belong to Paul." People should say only, "I belong to Christ, to his teachings, and to his church." What happens if we, like the people of Corinth, say, I belong to this person or that person? Instead of feeling ourselves Christians, we feel ourselves members of this or that group. Instead of having love for everyone, because there is division, hatred starts to be dominant. Those who belong to this group start to look at others in a superior way, as if they are special, as if they are better. So, for example, those who belong to Paul would look to those who belong to Apollos as if they have something special, only them. And the others, no, they are not special. They belong not to their leader, but to someone else. And what happens in this case? You see favoritism, you see partiality, and the unhealthy cliquism. Suddenly you see some people who are warm only with few people, who party with few people, who congratulate only few people, and talk with few people. This is something that happened in Corinth 2,000 years ago. Now, in this atmosphere, tell me, where is the community? Is there a community anymore? When divisions like this happen in the church, there is no community anymore. What we have is only communities. Communities within a community. And Paul wrote about this, and he wrote against it. So what is the way to heal this division? Paul says, it is to honor only Christ and proclaim that you belong to Christ. And because you belong to Christ and everyone else belongs to Christ, then we are one community. We are one body of Jesus Christ. Then we belong to Christ and we belong to everyone. We belong to Christ because we take his teachings as the ultimate guide for our lives. And then we ask, is loving my brother and sister in the community in accord with Christ's teaching? Yes. Is working together something that Christ would like? Yes. Are divisions something that Christ talked about? Yes. There is an entire chapter in the Gospels, John 17, where Christ prays to God about the unity of the church. And so our standard becomes Christ, because Christ is our leader and we belong only to Christ. We do not belong to this or that person. We belong to the one who died for us, who brought salvation to us, who granted us the opportunity of a new life by the power of his resurrection. All of these things didn't happen because of this or that person. It happened only because of the founder of our faith, Jesus Christ, and because of his love that he had for his people and for his church, something that led him to sacrifice himself, to give himself. He still gives us himself every Sunday through his body and blood that we take as communion. Today is Father's Day. And today we congratulate all the fathers and the dads of our community. The fifth commandment says that honor your father and mother. Father's Day is about honoring our fathers, who are the true leaders in our lives, with their example, with their care, with their love, with their legacy, and with whatever they taught us, they gave us. Fathers have historically been leaders, and today more than ever we need this quality in our fathers. Leaders not to impose or have this superiority feeling over others, but to guide, to show in great spirit of leadership how to live a life worth of service to God, your family, your local community, your neighbors, and ultimately your country. Today, we cherish the legacy of all the fathers in our lives, biological or non-biological fathers. Fathers who were probably uncles, who were probably mentors, who were probably important people in our lives, who were instrumental in shaping our characters and making us the good people who we are. Today, we need fathers who help build good characters. As Johann Arnold says, "Men, let's encourage one another to become true fathers again. In an age when fear dominates every relationship, we need real fathers more than ever. Men who are beacons of light and who provide companionship, love, and hope in a world filled with loneliness, pain, and despair." Happy Father's Day to everyone. Amen.